agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely. Here we go.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, we've been a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
Well, happy Halloween 2017. Let's get this live situation up and running. Because I promised people I'm running a little late. I apologize. Yes, it is the Crystal Lake Slasher with you here. Live. No. It's actually just James Walton with the I Am Liberty show. Coming to you for a special midday Halloween broadcast. Something that I don't usually do. I'm usually like making money. But things have been busy. It's been kind of crazy. And I haven't had time to get on here and do a podcast in a while. It's a struggle. October was kind of an ugly month, to be honest with you. I'm not really that sad to see it go. It was a little bit of a struggle for me. Numbers were kind of down. So I've got a big show. I've got a big show as usual. All right? All the king's horses and all the king's men. Kings everywhere, kings. And we finally see them for what they are, right? Bill Cosby to Harvey Weinstein. It's absolute power and what it does to the average American. What it does to the average human. Absolute power. We all know the saying. On this Halloween, there's but one thing we should fear, and that's a king. Oh, got my No King shirt on. Check that Liberty Bell out. Beautiful. Beautiful No Kings gear. Yes, there is meaning behind that. All right, it's not my logo for the show. I'm not promoting a show. I'm not promoting anything. It's just a very simple idea that we need 0 kings to govern us. Tired of kings. No president, no king or queen or, whatever it is. And these kings, they show up in many forms. That's what you have to understand. When I say no kings, it's a warning for most people about things like religious leaders, right? You can be dealing with these religious leaders that are over the top, and what do? They get a taste of that absolute power, and it gets crazy. You can be talking about presidents. You can even be talking about representatives. We all know representatives who have gone way out of bounds. But what I want to talk about primarily, since it is a family holiday in America, it still is a part of American culture. Some people don't like it because it's a pagan holiday. Some people don't like it for this reason, that reason, whatever it is. I love Halloween. It's a great time. It's a wonderful time. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not hurting anyone. As long as you're covering up all your important parts, which some of the girls nowadays, they struggle with. It's a good holiday, and it's a good family holiday. And I wanted to talk about the prepared family on this show. We're going to talk about a lot of things. There's a lot of things. We're going to introduce a couple new segments. I want to talk about... Okay, what is going on here? I get 2 seconds into the show. People are phone calling me in the middle of the day. No one ever calls me. Tweets of the week. Tweets and articles of the week. I touch a lot of prepper articles and survivalist articles during the week for my how I make a living. And I never bring any of them to your attention. I feel like that's kind of a bad deal. So we're gonna add that to the show. All right, we're gonna add to that. So my question to you on this episode of the I Am Liberty show is, how are you showing your family the way? More than any other question I field. What are you doing, Bax? I'm getting a visit from the co-producer here. I think he wants to go out back. Wait a minute. The co-producer, Baxter the Pitbull. More than any other question I get, are the questions that have to do with my family doesn't want to be prepared like me, right? They don't want to be prepared. They don't want to be prepared like me. They think I'm silly. They think I'm crazy. How do I get them on board? The number one method to do that is you have to be living the preparedness lifestyle. So we're going to talk about that. The prepared family and the fact that, yes, it is a lifestyle. It's not just a matter of, you doing things and saying the opposite. That's a big problem, right? We have people who come home, they sit on their butts, they watch TV all night, and then they tell their family, look, we really need to get prepared. We really need to spend more time outside. We really need to go hiking. We really need to go camping, fishing, hunting, all that. The prepared family and getting your family to buy in, it all comes down to lifestyle. But we'll touch that in a little while. Announcements. Let me do some announcements. Do I really feel like doing announcements? I have this regimented layout for the show. Let me check on the co-producer. He seems to be having a real problem out here right now. What's that, bud? He's defending the castle. He's actually trying to get on the air, I guess. I guess that's what that is. That's a hell of a howl. So, the prepared family and it's a lifestyle. One thing I am trying not to do, and I'm going to put this thing down now because it is making me very regimented. It's kind of, I started doing this layout for the show and it makes me a little regimented, maybe a little too regimented. So every once in a while I got to downsize that thing and just let my mind do what it does normally on the show. Because what I can't do is get into reading line by line, or it kind of destroys what this show is all about, really. Now, we're sitting on the doorstep in November, right? There's a lot of news. There's a lot of things coming up. I don't want to talk about the Mueller situation. I don't want to talk about the dossier situation. I think that stuff is for another show, not my show. I also think that stuff is kind of not really news. In a way, it's kind of boring to the average person. To the average person, what does that mean? The headline should come if the president is going to be dethroned or not. By the way, Wednesday we're going to have an incredible show at preparedbroadcastingnetwork.com, my live show every Wednesday, 9 p.m. It's going to be an incredible show on what's happening Saturday, the 4th of November. And if you're not familiar with what's happening on the 4th of November all around the country, you'll have to listen to the show. All right, you have to join me for that show because we're dealing with something that, who knows how it's going to go. There are a lot of people who are saying the November 4th riots, the Antifa riots, that's what I call them. They're supposed to be a gathering of minds and peoples to get Trump and Pence out of office. And that gathering will last until they're out of office. So it'll start the 4th, and it may go on the 5th, and it may go on the 6th, and it may turn into an Occupy Wall Street situation. But what's important for you to understand is it's going to be in big cities and maybe small cities on the 4th, which is Saturday. And I want you guys to understand what that means, because that means something. That certainly means something. Let me tilt this thing a little. That certainly means something to the people who live near those cities. I really am going to take a focus going forward on urban prepping. Yeah. I'm going to take a serious focus on the urban prepper because you read a lot of prepping materials, prepping articles, and it says that if you're in or around a major city, you're basically dead. And all the emphasis put on the bug out. In my opinion, there's only one thing that's worse than being in a major city during a serious, world-changing disaster. Do you know what that is? That's being in traffic on a main highway, a major highway, during a serious world-changing disaster in a major city. So, what most prepper articles and most prepper websites are telling you is that you need to bug out. If you're in a major city, you need to bug out. Well, if the disaster happens without you knowing, if you're not running some serious intel, better than even the nation, and you don't know when this is going to happen, then you're going to be reactive. You're going to be reacting, which means you're going to say, oh, honey, we got to go. There's been a bombing. There's been a this. There's been a that. And you're going to be bugging out, probably by vehicle, unless you cannot, due to like an EMP or something like that, or maybe damage sustained to roads. But in most cases, you're going to take the quickest way out of the city possible, right? Get in the car, drive. Load it up with the goods, out. I was talking to a guy, David Jones, who is a new host over at preparedbroadcasting.com. And he was telling me in a class that roads are basically death traps in a disaster, in a war zone. You want to avoid them at all costs. But the going message, right? The standard message for preppers today is, if there's a disaster and you're in an urban area, you need to bug out, and you need to bug out fast. And of course the question is, what is fast? And you have to know that if you don't bug out fast enough, you're going to be trapped on a highway, who knows how far from your home. So then you might be bugging back in, or you might be trying to take the rest of it on, the rest of the challenge on foot. I want to focus on urban prepping because there are answers in the community. Those of you who listen to my show, you know everything I do about community. It's very important to me because there are, what do they call them, force multipliers within your community. You can create a perimeter. You have numbers. You have the ability to defend that perimeter. And from there, you can build on that. If you want to know more about my thoughts when it comes to community and how community can end things like Saturday, November 4th, then you have to check out my book, Community. You can get it at Amazon. You can go to my website, IamLibertyShow.com, to get it. Listen to that guy howling. He's like a werewolf today on Halloween. He's like a werewolf. Sometimes when dogs walk by, this is what he does. I don't know if you can hear him or not, but he's got one of the great defensive barks that you could ever wish for, really. So what else are we talking about today? What else are we talking about? Do you have a survival blog? Are you writing? Are you thinking about creating? Or are you creating content for a survival blog? I want to give you free content. All right. I have great clients who are looking to get their product and their websites placed all over the survival and preparedness market. They want backlinks. Okay. And I want to provide them with those backlinks because that's how I get paid. What that means for you is if you've got a blog, I want to write for you. I want to write for you. I want to bring my audience to your blog. I want to bring my following to your blog so that I can get you traffic and I can get them the links that they're looking for. It comes to you completely free. Contact me at IamLibertyShow@gmail.com. Again, that's IamLibertyShow@gmail.com. Contact me and we can do business. Maybe you have a site that you want to develop a lead generating ebook for. I create those all the time. For clients all over the web, I create, you get the squeeze page or the splash screen when you go up on the website and it says, get this book about this. All I want is your email address. You get a free book. It's a great way to build your list. It's an incredible way to get a following. And while we're on the subject, I started a newsletter myself. This mailing list thing, this newsletter thing, I was always like, I don't know about getting into the blog this way. I was always against ads. I'm never going to put ads on my site because I think they look terrible. You go to a website and the whole left side is ads, the whole right side is ads. You're trying to read between, what is this? Brutal. I don't like it at all. But I did dip my toe into the newsletter. I sent my first one out. It's called the Liberty Gazette. I stole it from, the word Gazette. I stole that from, I think it was the London Gazette. But I wanted one of those older names. Let me see if I can get my dog to come in before he gets the cops called on him. Scaring the neighbors to death. Come on, get in. Madman. Come here. Are the ghouls out already? Are the goblins out already? You want to see my little Frank? This is Bax. Say hi. No? Oh, now he's shy. Now he's shy all of a sudden. He's been screaming and hollering for the last 20 minutes. He's terrified. So this Periscope is pathetic. There's nobody there's nobody in here right now. Let's keep going. We'll give it another 5 minutes and I'm shutting down the live. It's just another thing, you know what I mean? So the newsletter is out. Go to the website, go to the newsletter page, boop, boop, bop. Sign up. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 a month max. Max 1 or 2 a month. And it's not going to be like any newsletter you get from any prepper site. The right column will be a bunch of articles from my website. Podcasts you can go back and listen to. And the left side, well, the left side of the last one, I did a small piece of a poem from T.S. Eliot. I think it was from T.S. Eliot. Small piece of a poem from T.S. Eliot. Then I also did a piece of artwork about the wolf, the original werewolf of 1685, who the townspeople of, I want to say it was Germany, I forget, Absad. The townspeople were sure that the leader of that town, this mean leader from all those years ago, they were sure that he had possessed this wolf. And he was actually part of this wolf, and the wolf ate some livestock, and then the wolf moved up to eating children. And eventually the people hunted the wolf down, dressed him up in clothing, and hung him. Because they all swore that this was their old town leader. Their mean old town leader. Or their Burgermeister, as they put it. So those are the types of things you're going to get in the newsletter. You're going to get updates about what I'm doing. Let me be 100% honest with you. I want a bigger following. I want a newsletter that is a direct line of communication to you because, yes, I'm going to sell stuff. I write books. I'm putting together an urban survival course, right? But it's going to be the right urban survival course. It's going to be urban survival my way. It's not going to be gray man and situational awareness and how to go about getting this and that and what you can do and put the pack on and what to put in the pack. And we're going to talk about urban survival in a way that no one else is doing it. Because we're going to talk about creating opportunities for food in your community. We're going to talk about the community in depth. We're going to talk about some similar things that you've read about before, like survival caches. I haven't laid it all out. I'm going to throw it on an Excel spreadsheet, and it's going to be the complete and practical urban survival guide for the gigantic number of people who are living in an urban setting. That's all. One day it's going to be a course. One day I'm going to want you to take that course and spend some money. And put some money in your favorite host's pocket so that he can live the life that he wants to live. Okay? Is there any way to downsize this thing? No, I guess not. Well, guess what? Let's stop this broadcast because my phone is blowing up and I don't know why. All right, the Periscope is finito. I do like it. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. It adds a level. It adds a new level. You know what I mean? And maybe one day it'll be a lot more people in there. But I guess on the middle of the day, on a Halloween day, on a Tuesday, 12:58 p.m. Eastern, yeah, not a lot of people. And I get it. But I like to do it. You know why? Because people can go back and watch it too, and that's kind of cool. So the newsletter, that's the deal. Sign up for it if you're interested. If you're not interested, tell other people about it. This is the power of a community of people who watch a show. You know, you guys have the power. Sometimes that's scary for me, and sometimes that's great for me. But essentially, you have the power to make me as happy and as successful as you want. I'm always going to bring you the show, right? But you have to understand that my life has changed radically. My life has changed radically in less than a year. Because I used to be a guy who got a steady pay. I used to be a guy who punched a clock and worked the 5 days and came home and was off the 2 days and went back to work and had, very traditional selling my soul for a salary sort of lifestyle that we all do. And then radical things happen. People died. People I love, and my life changed in a big way. And now I'm out here like with a machete trying to just hack my way through this thing and figure out the best way to make a income that is going to be not only enough, but how can I grow? You know, there's a lot of things that happen when you open your own business and you start being a business owner. A lot of revelations. And one of the biggest revelations when you realize there's nobody I can complain about for not giving me a raise. You know what I mean? A raise is not promised anymore. You know, you work for a company and you just assume, hey, I've been here a year, things have been good, I've been loyal, whatever. I want a raise. Where's my raise? So when you own your own business, you get to the point where you realize, if I don't push the pace, then I'll never get a raise. And there's nobody out there who's going to give me a raise. So it's not that I'm peddling. You understand? I'm broadening my horizon. Amazon affiliate market I've been dabbling in, the writing of the books, looking for advertisers, all that kind of thing, you know. I'm never going to compromise the quality of the show or assume that you guys aren't as smart as I know you all are. If I create a product, it's going to be a product that I think you would like. And if I push you towards that product, it's going to be because I think you would like it. And it's going to be of the right quality. Okay? So that's the newsletter. That's the newsletter. So let's get to the topic at hand, shall we? We get to the topic at hand, which is on this holiday, on this family-oriented holiday. How are you showing your family the way? Are you making these crazy demands that your family should be one thing, when you realize that you are not the thing that you want your family to be? This is tough. But it is the takeaway from the show, so I'm going to be dead honest with you. I'm going to be deadly honest with you, because I think we all agree what 2017 was, right? The more religious of you might think it was one thing, and the more observant and more critical of you might think it was another thing. But one thing's for sure resounding is the fact that it was a warning. Now, where that warning came from is irrelevant to a lot of people. It may be obvious to other people. How are you showing your family the way to be prepared? Because whether you watch the world around you, whether you watch these factions in the nation, whether you watch the animals that are stalking the streets who have been disenfranchised by this nation, the threats are very real. We're suffering from an outbreak of the Black Plague that originated in Madagascar right now. And people in the World Health Organization says it's a very different strain, and they are concerned. Okay, it's affecting West Africa right now. But you don't get a do-over. You don't get time to, get a mulligan in all this. You don't get a couple weeks to prepare. If someone in your neighborhood winds up contracting that disease, what is your game plan? What's your game plan if tomorrow you wake up and find out that your area has been infected by the Black Plague, and the most important thing for you to do is keep everyone in your house at home? How do you make money? How are you going to do it? Right? Everyone stays home. Are you prepared to teach your children? Are you prepared to make these hard decisions? Do you have money stowed away to pay bills? These are all things that you have to consider. This is all part of your preparedness plan. And there's only one way to be prepared. Trust me, it's not peripheral. It cannot be peripheral. If you are peripherally prepared, then you're not prepared. And the only way that you can really live a focused and prepared lifestyle is if it is your lifestyle. Don't get me wrong. I'm a video game guy, all right? I don't watch football anymore. I used to be a big football guy. Outside of that, my life is built around sustainability and self-reliance and the outdoors. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's the gym. It's the training. It's the lifting weights and getting physically fit. It's the gardens. It's the cooking. Everyday cooking. I cook every day. Every day I make something. And you say it's trivial. When you know how to manipulate ingredients, you are opening incredible avenues for preparedness. I'm telling you, cooking is one of the most unsung heroes in your preparedness toolbox. Trust me. And having multiple cooking methods. Right? So how can I cook when the lights go out? How can I cook when the water goes out? How can I... all this stuff. But it has to be a part of your lifestyle. And if you want your family to join you, if you want your family to understand that they can make a difference and that they don't think you're crazy, now's the time to strike. The iron is hot. Everyone sees the nation and the division, and on Saturday, people are really going to get to see it. Because believe me, we're going to talk about this on Wednesday, and we'll talk about it in more detail, but believe me when I tell you, things are not kosher. And these left-wing radicals are ready to do some serious damage. So my questions to you today. Feel free to email me, IamLibertyShow@gmail.com, if you want to talk about or answer these questions. Again, it's IamLibertyShow@gmail.com. How are you showing your family the way? Take a self-audit of your lifestyle. Do you come home and watch Sportsnet all night and then tell your kids they need to learn how to start to make fires using ferrocerium rods and magnesium bars? It's not going to work. It's not going to work. They're going to do their thing. You're going to do your thing. You have to change your lifestyle. But how are you doing it? How are you showing your family the way? And the other big one, the other big question on my mind, because this is a peripheral issue in the nation right now, but not for me. I'm usually pretty focused on it. How do you feel about being part of a silence group? A group whose opinion is shunned and silenced. In other words, how do you feel about being marginalized? Republican, prepper, Trump voter, gun toter, patriot, free thinker, survivalist, whatever it is. How do you feel about being in the silenced group? Because that's what we are. You know, if you fall into any of those categories there, you're marginalized, you're silenced, right? You see what Hollywood has done, right? They've taken people like that, they've thrown them out. The sheer fact that you decided to go with the lesser of two evils in Donald Trump, assuming that Hillary Clinton would have been any better, makes you a marginalized individual in this nation, and that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing. So how are you showing your family the way, and how do you feel about being part of the silenced group? Let's talk about the article of the week. Let's talk about the article of the week. And I knew this was going to be the article of the week the moment I read it. Because over at Ready Nutrition, they do some incredible stuff. If you saw ReadyNutrition.com, you'd probably say to yourself, I don't even know what that is. Maybe it's a food storage company or something along that line. But they've got a article up at ReadyNutrition.com. Fact: your chances of surviving a post-collapse urban environment are slim. And there's no getting around that. That is a very true statement. Ready Nutrition readers, simply put, urban survival will be quite a bit different from survival in a remote wilderness area or even a sparsely populated suburban area. Let's game some options, remembering that these options are general. These actions aren't specific to the type of breakdown of society, external by an attack from a foreign nation or internal from an economic collapse, for examples. And the writer gives you this little situation here. After, quote-unquote, the day, the city was almost completely without power. You and your wife and 2 children were not able to leave town. All mass transit was halted or discontinued. It has been 3 days, and your family's been listening to static on the radio for the most part, with campy pre-recorded disaster broadcasts that have not been helpful or informative. One of your neighbors left this morning after saying goodbye. He and his family had a boat, and they were heading out to the harbor, hoping to use one of the major rivers to make an escape. They didn't have room to take you and your family. But you wanted to stay put and not follow your neighbor's idea that there were plenty of boats whose owners were not using them. Probably dead following the rioting and civil breakdown. There are no more cops, no more laws, no more order, no help will be coming on the day after doomsday. And the article goes on to talk about defense, securing your domicile, food and water, and cohesion within the family. Then she lists 4 serious issues that you'll be facing. Lack of food, cannibalism, disease, bad guys, quote unquote, marauders, whatever you want to say. And then there's some great information on, oh, I'm sorry, this is written by Jeremiah Johnson, which is a nom de plume. And then there's some great information on there about what you can do to be more prepared. It's a very good article. Like I said, this urban stuff is what people want to hear about because that's where the people are. It's that simple. That is where the people are. So that is Article of the Week, ReadyNutrition.com. The reality of surviving an urban disaster in a city isn't pretty, but it's possible. But it is possible. Over the weekend, I ran into an article about a church in Northern Virginia who was taking down their George Washington plaque and their Robert E. Lee plaque because they were symmetrical in the church. Even more important, it should be noted that George Washington attended this church. But the plaque that represents the great man will be going down. And you can look it up. I don't remember the name of it. I don't want to give them a plug. Okay, because I'm not happy about it. Their claim is that obviously it makes people uncomfortable. I had to steal that one from Michael Savage. It makes people uncomfortable. The people who show up are uncomfortable with the plaques. So rather than take the Robert E. Lee plaque down, because they are symmetrical, they said it would look funny, so we're going to take the George Washington plaque down as well. Now, of course, the issue with that is what? Well, there are many issues with that, but let me tell you what these creeps are all about. I get it, it's inclusion, it's cohesion within the church. I understand what they're getting at, but I have a really sad feeling in my stomach when I see stuff like this, when I see weakness like this. And I'm going to tell you what I did on Saturday morning when I read this article, because this is my take on all of this. I promptly emailed the church and told them I would gladly take their George Washington plaque so that it wouldn't wind up in the back of a dust bin somewhere or in a back room somewhere collecting dust. Haven't heard from them, naturally. They probably sold it already. It's probably going into the Reverend's till, to bolster her whatever. But it was an article that made me upset, and I acted on it. And you know what? I feel like they should have got back to me and either given me the ability to make an offer for the plaque or at least acknowledge the fact, since they're such an inclusive church and they're so concerned about the feelings of other people, I'm really having trouble with the fact that they didn't respond to my email. Why not? Maybe we agree, maybe we disagree, who knows? I wanted the plaque. You could at least, how busy are you, Reverend? I emailed the Reverend directly. How busy are you, Madam Reverend, that you couldn't email me back and say, sorry, sir, the plaque has already been sold. In fact, the whole decision was to sell the plaques. It had nothing to do with making people feel more comfortable. It had to do with us making some money on the side. That morning, Saturday, as the Saturday droned on, right, early. I do early mornings. By about 6 o'clock, I was sitting around wondering, how could I start a nonprofit group that buys these relics up? How can I start a high-bidding nonprofit group with deep pockets that can approach every one of these mad men and women who decide they no longer want George Washington around, the man who brought this nation back from the brink, a virtuous man? How can they not want him represented in their business or church or whatever? And how can I have a nonprofit organization that's willing to buy these things and donate them to people who do want them? Not individuals, but organizations. I don't want American freedom to be left to a museum only, okay? No. If there are people out there who want to hang them out front of their businesses, they should have access to them when other businesses decide that they make people feel uneasy. A little uneasy in my pew. Get where I'm going? Get where I get upset? You guys get it. That's why I like to talk to you, because you guys get it. Twitter of the day has to go to my man James Woods. You'll never see him in another movie again because of tweets like this. So apparently Chelsea Handler was talking about Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, and because his first name is Dana, she thought that it was a woman. You know, the lovely left-wing Chelsea Handler, who is so righteous. James Woods says she would be a perfect political analyst at CNN. Why break their streak on being wrong on just about everything? Thank you, James Woods. Tweet, tweet, tweet. I am at I Am Liberty Show, and if you want your tweet to make Tweet of the Week, just follow me at I Am Liberty Show and tweet at me. That's all. If the story's good, if the content's good, if it's funny, if it's entertaining, if it's relevant, then we'll bring it up on the show. Tweet of the Week. We'll be doing it on these shows. We'll be doing it on the live shows. It's all part of the format now. What else? Do you want to hear about the Canadian student? The Canadian student. I'm going to leave you with this little horror show. There was a Canadian student who decided, in the name of his God, that he would kill one of his classmates. He claimed that his God told him to do so. I found this on Pamela Geller's Twitter feed. And you find that this young man decided to slit her throat, among other things. Among other many heinous things. Because his God told him to. Now, I want you to guess, do you think that this young man, this wonderful little creature in Canada, a place that is so lost, it's unbelievable. It's getting as close to the UK as it can. So the young man, should we talk about the young man? Let's find this young man's lovely name. I just got hit with an ad. Where's my man's name at? CTV Vancouver covered the story. He's a Saudi Arabian national. You know, those guys that are our friends, quote unquote. Thamar Hamid Al-Mastadi. He wasn't Catholic. Thamar Hamid Al-Mastadi. Well, what he decided to do is he decided to slit the neck of his classmate. Okay? Now, where's the full story here? A university student was found not criminally responsible for an attempt to kill a classmate who lived in his dorm last year. Thamar Hamid Al-Mastadi was likely suffering from a brief psychotic episode when he attacked a fellow international student, a judge said Thursday. This judge, this monster, is putting this kid back out into the world when we know exactly what he was doing. During the interrogation, he told Sergeant Kevin Jeffrey he thought in that moment that he thought she was the devil. He said he'd been overwhelmed with schoolwork and hadn't slept the night before. Okay, no problem. Yeah, he was having a moment. He didn't have his Starbucks. He was cool. He just decided to chop necks because, when you don't have your Starbucks and you're in the high-pressure world of Canadian university, sometimes you just have to, chop a neck here and there. So this is the terrifying reality of the world. She described Al-Mastadi, who she'd met briefly before her assault, attacking her with a knife. She fought back against her attacker, grabbing the blade of the knife and breaking it off, so the man he didn't even have a decent knife. Al-Mustadi told Jeffrey he felt heartbroken during the interview, which took place just hours after the crime. He also detailed the attack in the recording and said he cut Hare's neck in 5 seconds. The victim's voice was also heard during the trial. What do you think? What do you think are the odds of our survival if we have judges who won't look radical Islam in the eye for what it is? How are you showing your family the way? This isn't about skin color. This isn't about some supremacist ideology. No, this is about survival. That's what I Am Liberty's about. That's what it's always been about. It's been about living a free life and surviving the threats in this nation, which to me appear to be consistent and only getting worse. Does that make sense? That doesn't really make sense, does it? Consistent and only getting worse. Bad deal. But the threats aren't going anywhere. This is just north of us, okay? And I have a story for you about connections between ISIS and the radical left wing in this nation that is going to make you shudder on the live show Wednesday, tomorrow night, live, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have to be there. It's James Walton with the I Am Liberty Show. Talk to you later.